Time now for sport. Here's Sana.
Thank you very much, Polly. We begin with football, and two of the biggest names in the game are set to finally meet on the international stage. Lionel Messi will face Cristiano Ronaldo for the first time in their national colours as Argentina play Portugal in a friendly. The two are long-standing club rivals in the Champions League, and in Spain, both are locked at the top of the Spanish Primera Division scoring table with 24 goals each. But the forwards have never faced each other on national duty because it's the first time the two sides have met in nearly 40 years. The game is being played in Geneva and is expected to be televised in at least 85 countries. Well, champion Spain will be looking to end the three-game winless streak in friendlies when they take on Colombia a little later. The Spaniards, who are also the European champions, lost 4-1 to Argentina and 4-0 to Portugal 2 months later. Despite their losses, Spain remains top of the FIFA rankings as compared to Colombia, who are 50th. Their coach, though, is blaming club commitments for the poor results.
Well, I think the only blemish has been our last game against Portugal. In the rest, I think, including the game against Argentina, there were signs of a good performance. Perhaps the Portugal game came upon us at a moment in the season when the clubs, the intensity of competition affected the players a little.
Two former World Cup champions are getting ready to face each other in the friendly. France take on Brazil at the Stade de France in Paris. The two teams will meet for the repeat of the 1998 World Cup final when France beat the Samba Boys 3-0. New Brazil coach Mano Menezes has promised a return to traditional attacking values following their latest 1-0 loss to Argentina in Qatar. The squad, though, will be without Real Madrid star Kaká, who's still recovering from injury, but the coach is confident his side will get a positive result. These are some of the selected friendlies. On Wednesday, England will face Denmark in Copenhagen. Germany go up against Italy. Joachim Löw's side, who finished third in the last World Cup, will want to shine against the team that deprived them of the 2006 World Cup final home soil in their most recent meetings. Iran will face the 2018 World Cup host Russia in a match which kicks off in a few minutes' time. Liverpool Football Club is back in the courts with their former American owners claiming $1.6 billion in damages after being forced to sell the Premier League club. Tom Hicks and George Gillette are pursuing the huge sum for what they called a giant swindle. A High Court judge is set to decide on whether they can sue the Royal Bank of Scotland, and three former directors who approved the sale in October against Gillette and Hicks. Well, the case in London comes as Liverpool's fortunes on the field have been revived. They're up to 6th in the table. Golf's world number 3, Tiger Woods, is looking forward to playing alongside the top two players, Lee Westwood and Martin Kaymer, in the first round of the Dubai Desert Classic. The 14-major winner is hoping to win his 3rd title in Dubai. The 14-major winner is hoping Westwood took over world number 1 last year, while Kaymer's win in Abu Dhabi displaced Woods from the world number 2 spot. Woods has gone 14 months without a victory.
If I'm in the event, it's to win. That's just plain and simple. I don't always win. I've certainly lost a lot more tournaments than I've won, but you know, it's the goal every week we tee it up, and that doesn't change.
21-year-old Rory McIlroy is looking for a repeat of his victory in 2009. The Northern Irishman won his first European Tour title in Dubai 2 seasons ago. This time he's had a relaxed build-up to the tournament and is hoping to slide back into the swing of things.
You know, I can remember coming out here when I was 16 and playing in the tournament. I was lucky enough to get an invite, and things have really come on since there. So yeah, I sort of do treat this as a home event because I have played it more times than any other tournament on tour. You know, it's a very impressive field. The top 3 players in the world are here, and you know, if you can win this week, you know that your game's, you know, definitely on the right track, and you're in great shape going into the season.
The Super Bowl champions, the Green Bay Packers, have returned home to celebrate their victory with their fans. Over 50,000 turned out in freezing temperatures to cheer on the winners at their home ground of Lambeau Field. They beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in NFL season ender to win their 13th championship.
I just want to thank the fans. You're clearly an energy force for our football team. Just keep bringing that passion, that energy, and we'll keep bringing them trophies home back to you. Great job this year.
You know, the good part about it is we decided that we had to do it. We brought the trophy where it belonged. It started here, and look where we're at now. We're Super Bowl champs, baby.
That's right.
That's it for me, Folly.
Thank you very much, Sana. Stay with us on Al Jazeera. David Foster will have more news for you in just a few minutes. From me, Folly Bath. Thanks for watching.
Hello, after Wednesday morning's rain across parts of the Arabian Peninsula, here we go, this big bulge of cloud making its way out of the way. Drier, brighter skies coming in behind. Should be safe to clean the car then. We have got more in the way of clear sunshine, but notice temperatures pegged back to just 22 Celsius here in Doha. Similar values to come to into Riyadh, and I think we'll keep that slightly fresher feel to the weather as we go on through the next couple of days. Here's Friday's picture, similar values, little more clouds, so always a chance of the odd shower up towards the Gulf, but I think for many it will stay fine and dry. You can see the wetter weather is easing its way across Iran once again. We will see some wintry flurries making the way over the higher ground of Afghanistan. Quite a bit of snow a possibility here, and also into parts of Pakistan. Much of India is fine and dry. We are still very concerned, of course, across the southernmost parts of the Bay of Bengal into Sri Lanka, where we have got further flooding rains to come over the next day or so. But I'm pleased to say that wetter weather is easing its way further south. We come into South Africa, some showers there just around the Eastern Cape. Heavy downpours still a possibility into Mozambique, into southern parts of Tanzania. We will see further heavy rain too, once again into Madagascar. Zambia could also see some flooding, and it stays pretty wet too for a good part of Angola.
Be thrilled by the speed, be delighted by the tastes, be inspired by the sights, and enjoy the hospitality. The Muscat Festival. It's here, January 27th to February 24th.
Qatar Tourism Authority invites you to the 8th Doha Jewellery and Watches Exhibition from the 15th to the 20th of February 2011 at the Doha Exhibition Centre. Sponsored by Qatar National Bank and Qatar Airways.
Moving on Parliament, Egyptian protesters outside, troops inside as the pro-democracy demonstrations continue. Good to have you with us here on Al Jazeera live from Doha. I'm David Foster. Also in this programme, 7 killed, more than 70 injured in a series of car bombings targeting Iraqi security. And prosecutors request an immediate trial for the Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi on charges of sex with an underage prostitute. Growing discontent, a shooting incident in Lahore strains US-Pakistan ties. Well, if the size of the crowds in Liberation Square in Cairo speaks volumes, then taking the protest to Parliament says it's not just Mubarak we want out, it's his followers too. Soldiers have taken up positions inside the Parliament building, while demonstrators say they'll camp outside indefinitely. Symbolically important, yes, but more obvious in terms of the latest developments are strikes and the ongoing negotiations between what are known as the wise men and the Vice President. We'll take a look at where Parliament is in respect to everything else we've been seeing in the Egyptian capital over the last 2 weeks. There you have Liberation Square at the top of the screen, and right below that, Parliament building and the Cabinet building, Ministry of the Interior, significant government offices and parliamentary offices in and around that area. And it was there that our correspondent Jackie Rowland went to gauge the mood among some of the protesters who'd moved away from Liberation Square to confront the Parliament.
The demonstrations are moving into a new phase. As you can see, the protesters are now venturing beyond Tahrir Square. Here they've come to the Parliament building, one of the symbols of power in President Mubarak's Egypt. There's a feeling that the politicians aren't listening to their message, so they've decided to bring the message to the politicians. The Parliament is packed full of members of President Mubarak's ruling National Democratic Party. The last elections were held in November and there were numerous complaints of electoral fraud. These people want the elections to be held again so that they can have a parliament that truly represents the people's wishes.
We are trying to move the demonstration to a new frontier. Now in Tahrir Square, they have already occupied Tahrir Square. Nobody can get them out from Tahrir Square. There is two ways to get them out from Tahrir Square. Either it's by listening to what they demands, or it's going to be a bloodbath.
The demonstration, as you can see, is quite well humoured, but the army isn't taking any risks. They're here in considerable numbers to make sure that nothing gets out of hand. But as you can see, they're not in any way trying to stop the demonstrators from bringing their messages to the Parliament. Jackie Rowland, Al Jazeera, Cairo.
Well, in fact, if they want the politicians to get their message, they'll have to wait a little while because none of the MPs are sitting at the moment. All business has been adjourned because of the situation in Egypt. On other matters, let's bring in our correspondent, Ayman Mohyeddin, who is in Cairo. Largely symbolic, what we've seen outside the parliamentary building, Ayman, but those protesters there saying they wanted to take it all to a new level. I referred to the negotiations between the wise men and the government, I think incorrectly, because they've referred to them simply at the moment as talks. Have we any idea, have you from your sources heard anything about where these talks are going?
Well, David, right now what is emerging behind the scenes really are two different tracks of talks, and that's the best way to describe them. What is being offered really on one track, and this is the track that is emerging between this so-called Committee of Wise Men, which includes notable Egyptian figures, prominent politicians, notable businessmen. They're in direct talks with Vice President Omar Suleiman. And one of the issues that is being discussed is a framework of how power can be transferred to President Omar or Vice President